You're good.
You guys ready?
Yep. Yes.
All right, call the meeting to order. Thanks everyone for coming out. First item agenda is to ask people to silence their cell phones. Thank you. The actual first order of business is approval of the minutes from our June 11 meeting. Before we get into that, Steve, I'm looking at the agenda. Are we supposed to be voting on everything under the approval of minutes or?
No, I think we just like to have it on the agenda to acknowledge that you're signing those plans.
Okay.
Or, I mean, in the minutes that you're acknowledging to sign the plans.
All right. That being said, any corrections on the minutes?
I have none. I have
The motion to approve?
a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye.
Abstain.
One abstention. Thank you. All right. So we have to acknowledge these things underneath the approval of minutes. What's the procedure then? So yeah, we're doing that?
Yeah.
Okay, we're doing that. All right, so our first presenter is Jode. I get it right?
Yes.
All right, you want to take the podium? Or a representative take the podium?
Alrighty. If we pull that up, thank you. Alrighty. All right. Good evening. I am Joseph Gallo, Bustamante Engineers. We are here on behalf of Nadir and Ajod. Yes. We submitted a formal sketch plan review for a 12,000 square foot pre-engineered metal building. It is G4 Contractor Services in the PC2 district. The property is on the corner of Forest Road and Bethlehem Pike. It is an empty lot right now, heavily wooded with some huge boulders of unknown size. And it's been empty. It's never been developed. There's nothing on there. We are looking to build this 12,000 square foot building. This was submitted about a year ago under the same owner. We were not involved at the time, but it was 10,000 square foot. You guys did review that as an informal sketch. There wasn't anything notable really of it. The only thing we're really changing is sizing up a little bit, and we've done some additional work and trying to figure out some of the design challenges, things like that, such as septic and other things as well. So we did submit a formal sketch plan to the township and the engineer, and we just wanted to discuss some of the things we are looking to discuss, especially that impact this project the most would be the road improvements. So Forest Road is a narrow township road, as you're all aware of, and then Bethlehem Pike is a state road as well. So it's a very steep lot. There's some big drop offs, some huge berms. There's a 15 to 20 foot ravine right along Bethlehem Pike there. So some of the road improvements, we believe are going to be significant challenges. So we wanted to just open a dialogue about that and see, what we can discuss on that tonight and moving forward as we continue developing the site. So that's the existing site. Again, on the corner of Forest Road and Bethlehem Pike. If you go to the next slide, please. Thank you. It doesn't show up here well, but 12,000 square foot building here. Parking around it. There is some vehicles that will be stored there, some 30-foot box trucks, and then a couple employee vehicles as well. And then we have a septic system, on-lot septic, and we will have a well as well. Stormwater, we did stormwater testing. We got decent results. So we're going to build the site up to a large underground stormwater system under the parking lot, most likely. We'll work on that in the future. There is an existing driveway there right now. It's just a gravel driveway. So we use the same opening there. We'll widen and improve that. And everything there works. We are, like I said, zoned PC2. Our use of G4 Contractor Services. We are estimating 6 employee vehicles and 6 company vehicles on site, and plenty of parking for them as well. Like I said, stormwater, everything like that, and on-lot septic and water won't be an issue. Realistically, the biggest issues we see are just the road improvements, especially along on Bethlehem Pike.
All right, so what's the nature of the business?
You can comment a little more.
It's going to be just for parking for our trucks. It will be some appliances in there, repairing appliances. because
You-
we doing deliveries for Best Buy, Home Depot, and Lowe's. So
So
basically,
you're,
just
you're storing them there?
store here and there, but most likely it's just for the trucks to. It's a parking for the trucks.
Indoor parking?
What is it?
Indoor parking for the
No,
trucks?
no.
I mean, it's a big building. I mean, what are you gonna
Yes,
be doing
but
in the building?
It's actually me and him, so it's two different businesses, same business basically. We doing same thing, but I do have my business. He has his, and we'll be like using that building for having those appliances in there.
So do you work on the appliances there or are you just storing them for delivery?
No, we do installation.
Okay,
So basically, we'll have them in there, and then the next morning will be dispatched.
You work for like big box, like you contract out to what, Best Buy or?
And Lowe's, yes.
So
Right,
when
so
you
you-
buy a fridge from Best Buy, you don't get it from Best Buy. The guys who deliver it and install it for you or take it away and fix it, it's company.
Right.
So like it's a lot of box trucks and then some in and out, some material, there's some office space in there as well. No tractor trailers or anything like that. All deliveries are box trucks or smaller.
Is there gonna be two businesses?
Basically, two different ones. We have the same thing, but it's going to be under one business. So he's an owner himself. I am, but this will be as one.
Two owners, one business.
Yes,
So it's one business, 200,
basically.
opposite of what you did. All right, thank you.
So, like I said, we did the turning radiuses, everything for the 30-foot box trucks. We can do everything, including getting onto Forest Road at the intersection. All of that worked. If you go to the next slide, if you don't mind, man. Thank you. So we got 30-foot box truck, which would be the largest truck we would have. We can make the turns out onto Forest Road on Bethlehem Pike, and coming in as well, we would do on our own driveway, widen that, do some aprons there as well, as needed on our side of Forest Road there. And then we really aren't proposing any other improvements at Forest Road or Bethlehem Pike. As I said, Bethlehem Pike is a ginormous drop off. It's a state road. There's no other anything else to even tie into, whether sidewalk, stormwater, drainage, anything like that. And then Forest Road is a township road. There is some on our side of the road, especially there is a couple feet of grass and pretty beat up, and then there is a large berm there. So any improvements there would have to pretty much regrade the entire thing, and would be quite challenging and quite cumbersome. And we really don't need it to to get our trucks and everything in and out there. We're estimating only a couple trucks per day in and out as well. So I think
All right, so do you have the review letter in front of you?
I do.
So typically, we just ask you to run down through the.
Yeah, sure.
review.
Yeah, of
If it's a
course.
will comply, just say it's a will comply.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
Number one, the use contract services, we'll provide more information, hours, all that. We can comply to all that. No issues there. Ultimate right of way for Bethlehem Pike. That's also no issue there. Buffer yards, we do have some buffer yards up there. We have a type 5. Although Steve, you said that was the wrong buffer.
Just think it's the wrong number. You have the width and information, right?
Gotcha. Okay, so type 1 for residential, type 5 for parking though.
Yes.
We have type 5 because we have parking there. So is in residential. So we can adjust that as needed. That's not an issue. Whatever, we can work on that with Steve.
The type 5 is around parking lots.
Around parking lots tight to it, and then
And then
residential. Okay.
the other one
So
is
I guess we did the more,
against the residential
more restrictive
property.
one. So we do plan on using a lot of the, this is a heavy wooded lot. When you stand in the middle of the lot, you can't even see out anywhere. So we do plan on getting additional survey using the existing trees and stuff as some buffers if we can, and we can work with Steve on that. So that would not be an issue. For resource protection, we do have some steep slopes. We're disturbing very little of them. So that will not be an issue. This will be over an acre disturbance, so we'll be MPDS. We will take care of that as well with the county. 5 street improvements. Like I said, that's the one we're kind of, most want to discuss tonight, especially at Forest Road and Bethlehem Pike. The requirements there. Proposed parking. We will provide, the drainage, curbing, everything needed as per the ordinance. That's will comply as well. 7, lighting on the preliminary plan. We will do a lighting, show the parking lot lighting as per Saudo. That's not an issue. Number 8, recreational fee. Again, that's not an issue at all. $500 per 4,000 square feet. So we're 12,000. That is easy to comply with as well. Stormwater management, we already done infiltration testing. We got decent results. We have to, since there's such a grade change on here, we're gonna be building the site up under the parking lot. So we'll probably do a combination of the system under the parking lot and then a detention basin along the parking lot as well. And then we have a large ravine here downhill. We have hundreds of feet, we can discharge there and make sure we don't impact anyone downstream. There is a very large 8-foot culvert below Bethlehem Pike, right at the corner of our property that everything already runs to. So we can work with Steve on that too, the stormwater, but I don't expect any stormwater issues, and there's none existing issues that we're aware of. So that should be able to satisfy that as well. Buffer and landscaping, number 10. Again, we can use some of the existing trees. We will comply with any of the buffers there. We're going to try to keep as many trees as possible, only cut, the minimum down we have to get the parking lot and building, and leave everything, around there as we can. You can see the clouded line on our plans. That's our kind of proposed new wood line. Again, trying to keep it tight to the parking lot wherever possible.
Is it, not to interrupt you, but is it accurate to say that there'll be no outside storage, no product will be stored outdoor or equipment?
Just a couple box trucks. We have a dumpster in the back, a fenced-in dumpster. That's it. Just a normal dumpster. All right, and then 11. So we have an on-lot septic system that's already been tested and working on approvals right now with the county for that. And it's a sand mound. And then there was a water line noted, but the water service does not go there. That was incorrectly labeled by our surveyors. That's a gas valve, not a water valve. So we will have an on-lot well. And I already called the Percy Regional Water Authority. There's nothing even close to us. So we'll do everything on site, water and sewer, and that shouldn't be an issue as well. So we will have to do a well.
Right, but there will be a restriction on the lot, if that's in public water and sewer service area. And
Okay.
if the lines are ever extended to the property, the property will be required to be connected.
All right. Yeah, that's fine.
But you're correct,
They're
there
not
is no
even close.
schedule.
I
to
talked
do
to them. We're thousands of feet away where they're saying, but I talked to Percy there.
You're
so.
welcome to end it up.
Hey, in a state road, no thank you. We'll put a well in the sand. It'll be lovely. That's number 12. 13 is a traffic study. So we can provide some information to show that there's gonna be no impact on, again, there's a couple box trucks and a couple employee vehicles a day. So we can provide some additional information on that, as well. Plan sheet 3 is the turning radiuses. So we did the 30-foot box truck. They're asking for a fire truck. We can do that as well. We can talk to the fire marshal. I assume it's about the same wheelbase as a 30-foot box truck. Most fire trucks are about that range, maybe slightly big. I don't know how big of a ladder truck or whatever that they have there.
They have a pretty large truck. If the overall dimensions are bigger, the wheelbase may not.
Right. So it should be okay. But we'll discuss with the fire marshal and Steve with that as needed. 15, notice to the adjoining property owners. That should be fine. We have one residential property to the northeast there, and then to the southeast there is a little cafe there that's quite far. You can't even see it because of the huge grade change there.
Look at that section in the ordinance, because there's a distance from the property.
Sure.
boundary.
Yeah.
So
I'm
maybe
just talking with adjacent. Of course,
Yeah,
everyone
maybe
that's in the proper distance, we will notify.
and
There's not a lot though. It's
you won't be put on the planning commission agenda
Mhm.
until those notices are done.
yep. That's fine.
So.
Yep.
Just make sure you
Yes.
do that first when you're ready to
Yep.
apply.
We will make sure of that. Yep. ENS, like I said, it will be MPDS because we'll be over an acre. So we'll take care of all that. That'll be on the next commission as well. And then the last one is any waivers, fee in lieu of, we can discuss with, Steve and Greg as needed if that comes to that. So yeah, I mean, like I said, everything we can, we don't see really any challenges except for the street improvements. Number 5 there, Saldo, sections 365, 31, 32, 39, and 40.
All right. Any questions?
Just one, the gravel driveway that's there now, is that kind of in the center of? where the
Yeah,
driveway
it's
is
right. If you go back 2 slides. Yeah, I don't know why I got so, it's much better. If you go forward one, please. Sorry. It's right where the existing driveway is. We're not moving the driveway. We're widening it. So yeah, I have better plans. See, I don't know why it got so blurry. It's right there. It's right next to it. We
A
can
little bit
overlap.
south of where
It's
it's
a,
shown
yeah,
there?
it's a tad south. I don't know why that's so blurry. Tad south, Justin. Plan south, yeah. Yeah, it's hard to see, but yeah, it's not much of a driveway right now. It's just, it's enough to pull a vehicle in. There's a little, someone put gravel down, probably a decade plus ago, so it's not really much of a drive, but there's at least something there. You can't drive on it right now. There's no pipe or culvert or anything. There's not really even a swale much along Forest Road there. It's crowned and then bermed. So the water does run. So we can put any sort of drainage we need there. If we need to put a pipe underneath it, extend that down to that corner, that won't be hard as well. And we'll do full curbing. We'll flare it out. We kind of actually want to flare it out as much as we can, that's allowed to help with the turning radiuses, so that should not be an issue, but we will be totally redoing it. So in approximately the same spot, it will shift a little bit.
So you will have curbing on the driveway.
Yeah, yep. We'll have curbing there on the apron as needed, and we'll have to have it around our parking lot for the stormwater. But we're asking curbing along Forest Road would be very difficult, and we'd have to alter the entire profile of the road and berm and swale and everything there. If you go on the next couple pictures, actually, I have some photos. Hopefully they show better. All right, so Forest Road, Bethlehem Pike, we're cornered. That's the subject property right there, here, and there. We go to the next one. Again, I don't know what. But so you can see the cartway here. You have maybe a 2-foot strip of leaves. It's not really even grass, and then there's a significant berm there that's lined with trees. So to do any sort of improvement, all that have to get blown out. Significant improvement. The other side's not much better. Like I said, we're not even really adding much more than a couple box trucks a day. So it'd be quite tricky to get to work and everything there. We have this site, like I said, there is boulders galore everywhere. Even on this site, we're not cutting anywhere. We're kind of building it up, even with our building and foundations, because there is 20-foot diameter boulders sticking out of the ground everywhere. So we're trying not to have to excavate and dig. And I assume, and there's even, if you look at our survey, there's the gray areas, the steep slopes. There's steep slopes right along there where those berms are. Those are steep slopes that are right there. Some of them are 4 or 5 feet, within a couple feet of the edge of the road there. So even just as soon as we put curbing, then we have to do drainage, and then we have to do everything. It would really, alter that road significantly there. So, and be a significant amount of work that we don't believe is fully necessary. We don't need it for our turning radiuses. It's not a very busy road. There's only maybe a dozen houses on it, and then our proposed facility.
Are you aware of any drainage problems out there?
Not specifically, but I just want to bring your attention to, because this is one of the first projects in the new PC2 zone. You're going to have one next month that's at the other end of Forest, by Old Mill Road. What was the cabinet shop a couple months ago that didn't go anywhere. Well, someone else has bought that and is revising that plan. So, and I say that to say, I think you should think in the big picture of, these are the first projects that have limited traffic, but if the PC2 develops, over time into its full extent, there may be some level of improvements that you do want to have. But yeah, it's just to keep that in mind. This is a little bit shorter section of Forest Road, so there'll be less development on it, but there will be potentially more development.
What's the plan for water? Are they going to come out from old Bethlehem Pike out to Bethlehem Pike on Forest?
They're already out
I mean, I know they're up there,
at
but I know they're
At
down at
Bergey's.
Bergey's, but are
Yeah.
they going to come up Old Bethlehem, or are they going to come from old Bethlehem out Forest to service these properties up here?
well,
'Cause that's all the way up to there, isn't it?
at old, quite frankly, they are up to, on Old Bethlehem Pike, the water goes to Forest.
They're
That
there.
was the extension for the
Right.
PFAS problem,
Forest,
which is only 1 or 2 properties away
right.
from you from that direction.
This is the third property,
Eventually they'll loop that.
right? So it'll come up.
They'll come up Bethlehem Pike and loop it back into Forest, and then extend up again. And I don't know if they'll loop it again, but they just need a big enough project to make it viable to extend the utilities north along Bethlehem Pike.
It sounds more feasible to come from currently from Old Bethlehem over to
Bethlehem.
Bethlehem.
Right, you could pick up a couple of properties by coming across Forest.
Instead of all the way up.
Yeah.
Bethlehem.
Ultimately, they'll want to loop it. Yeah.
Sure.
Mhm.
But to stub it off and service these, but so that would potentially be the first section.
Yeah, they could run that stuff out Forest Road to Old Beth, have water for Forest Lodge and a
Right.
couple properties. not on the books right now, but that's potential.
As far as, waiving cartway width, that's not a fee in lieu of it.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
I just-
Car with curb and sidewalk.
Okay.
Now, the reality on Bethlehem Pike, the road's wider than our standards. Anyway, so there is, even if you said you wanted road widening on Bethlehem Pike, there is, unless we were adding a lane, there's no reason to, under the ordinance, to widen Bethlehem Pike. But
And it is a pretty steep drop right there.
definitely.
What would be the east side of Bethlehem Pike, right?
Got down almost 20 feet in the corner there. It goes from maybe 5 to 20 feet.
And we already
It's
have,
a ravine and a half.
we have the center turn lane through there already. So,
And there's a nice shoulder on there. So again, putting any curbing or sidewalk there, it actually, because the water somewhere already flows right off and goes right down that ravine, it's.
I wouldn't anticipate long-term, even with additional businesses, that Old Bethlehem Pike, or I'm sorry, Bethlehem Pike
Oh, 309.
is going, Old 309 is going to be improved to any great extent other than entrances and turn lanes at a particular business.
Yeah, that's not conducive to put anything there. I mean, that's
No.
yeah.
Forest. Forest is a different story. That's a smaller township road. Some widening might be beneficial to there. But if not, we do have the program to take a fee in lieu of and potentially use it for a future project.
Right, that's why, yes. And is that actually used for future projects?
It is set aside for road improvement projects. They're not necessarily spent on the front end of the property that it was granted.
Right.
But it's used for road improvement, drainage projects, new culvert things in the township.
And we'd be open to that too and discussing that, with Steve and whatnot as needed there.
So property that paid a fee in lieu of, if down the road, we want them to do improvements, so is the township gonna pay for it? They're paid fee?
That's yet to be determined. Up to the board.
Okay.
We haven't had that circumstance come before us.
I don't know, what's your thoughts? So we have your waiver requests.
Right, yes. This is just a sketch plan. It's not even preliminary, so we just put them on there. We understand. The traffic study, like I said, we can provide something to show that, it's very, low impact and the amount of cars would be minimal. And then, like I said, the other 3 are for, I guess they would apply to both roads. That even if you want to handle it separately between Bethlehem Pike and Forest Road, as well. And the one we are missing is 365-31-M, which is the overlay, I believe, Steve. And then,
Yeah, that's part of the whole road
yeah,
improvement project.
they're all kind of lumped together there.
So Forest Road would be the only one that we could possibly have an issue with.
Yes, if you wanted
Bethlehem
to,
Pike's not gonna be.
right, if you wanted to start to
Right.
to go down the course of having all these commercial properties, make some level of improvement.
Right.
And with the sketch plan, I did not necessarily reach out to Public Works. I could do that, between sketch plan and.
Right, okay.
And there are further submissions to see if there is anything specific that they would look for there. As I said, though, I'm not aware of a particular problem, but. I could find that out.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, for the first project. And a groundbreaking. By not doing it, it'll.
Set the stage.
Well, yeah, too. But it'll keep more of a raw character if we don't have it on this.
Yeah, I mean, if we do everything to that standard, it's going to be, quite industrialized, intersection there with everything. It won't look like Forest Road anymore. It will be significant and really kind of highlight the commercial aspect of it where I know it's PC2, but pretty much everyone right now is residential, mostly residential on the rest of the Forest Road, at least on our block there. So,
On Forest Road.
yeah, going up there at least, yeah. So. And like, if we don't do improvements too, like from Bethlehem Pike, we're tucked back enough, you're just gonna see a little bit of the driveway. It's gonna be very, very hidden. Especially with leaves on, you're not even gonna really see any of this, maybe in the winter when, some trees, the leaves fall off, but for 2/3 of the year, it'll be pretty well hidden and tucked away and not, look like a commercial building, there on the edge, in the corner there.
Yeah, I'm considering the 30-foot box truck making a left on Forest. It's not a huge road right there, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you go back, we did the turning races. We get it to work. Again, we are fully blowing that our ripping out to 54, which is the max allowable. And we have a 36-foot 2-lane coming in. So if you go back a slide or two, one more. So yeah, this is the box truck. Well, this is it coming in, backing in there. And then here's a looping around, coming out. We are on the car whip the entire time. It's a little blurry here, but if you look more close to the plans, it does fit, and I got to check the fire truck, but I assume the fire truck will be pretty close to fitting as well. Also, the fire truck's not going to be doing loops around here and coming in and out, much at all.
It doesn't have to be all or nothing.
Yeah, gotcha.
If you would be interested in just doing a road widening to continue, a program to widen the roads in that area, not necessarily curb and sidewalk,
Right.
that type of improvement.
I have a little concern on safety pulling a 30-foot truck out of there on that small road.
Okay.
That intersection of Bethlehem Pike and Forest Road is not good if you're heading, west on Forest coming from Old Bethlehem through there. You can't make that turn. It's like a 30-foot box truck coming south on Bethlehem Pike, making a left to go into that and then make the right. You can't make that turn if there's a car there. I mean, I come out there every day. They can't even make it with my truck there. So.
You're saying from
south-
Bethlehem to Forest?
Yeah, Bethlehem on to Forest. If you're making a left
You're
heading
at the
south.
stop sign right there, right?
If you're at the stop sign crossing Bethel Pike
Right.
on Forest Road and the truck would come south and make a left to come into there.
Right.
That truck couldn't make that south to any of the cars that are there would go.
Right.
Because at the stop sign, you're saying because of the stop sign there. Yeah.
Well, it's the intersection so narrow.
Narrow, and that
And
stop
you have to
line
pull up
is
so
pretty.
far to see past the guardrail.
If you go one or
looking
two more,
south On Bethel Pike.
you go one more forward, please.
So that intersection.
Yeah, you're
is
saying right.
potentially. Right,
You're saying
yeah.
if a car is stopped at the stop sign on Forest,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we can
Truck
check,
would have to get
Bike
around
is,
it.
with the third lane, it's quite wide there. So even with swinging there,
Well, I know it's what it is.
and obviously we would check at the stop bar, people obviously come forward.
I'm
to
just
stop
saying that
bar.
intersection is just not conducive to a
Yeah.
30-foot box truck making a left there. That's all I'm saying.
Right, the stop bar, there might be enough room, but if you come forward to
Right.
where you have a clear sight triangle,
Mhm.
Right. Yeah, it's a bad sight line.
On, not on our corner, on the other corner, you're saying.
Yeah, no, on your corner. I think looking
Well,
north, right?
this would be the bad sight line here. That's our problem. This side's much more open. This side, that there's more, because that starts the ravine, it's more
Yes,
open on this side.
yes, yes.
The other side, but without the guardrail, that's not our property. That's where it's a little tighter. So that car's to pull
Yeah,
out
I'm just
farther,
saying
you're
for
saying,
a
yeah.
truck making a left
Mhm,
on
okay.
the cars, it's really tight.
Yeah.
Really tight intersection.
But the only thing that would really improve that would be widening the sight triangle on the other property. Because if we were to widen or anything Forest Road there, you're still gonna have the same issue. Being a little couple feet wider isn't really gonna do much for that. You'd want that sight triangle to be bigger and that stop bar to be pushed back 20, 30 feet. That would help that.
How far is the driveway from the stop sign?
I don't have exact number, maybe 200 feet or so. Yeah, 150. 150. Scale it. Yeah, maybe slightly more. The start of the driveway, center driveway could be a little more.
So that could be done to widen that on their side down at that end, like the guardrail, like this guardrail here, like anything to be able to open that up a little wider. Road width or anything like that.
potentially, yeah, I'm not sure how close the guide rail is as it goes around the radius.
Yeah, there's some room there. That radius isn't bad there. If you, sorry, go back one. This radius coming in here when the trucks turn this way, that's fine. That's not too bad there. I think he was discussing the other one on the other side.
That whole thing's kind of tight. I mean, it's not real confusing.
Yeah, I mean, it's tight. It's,
30-foot truck going
yeah,
there.
it fits, but it's tight. You know what I mean? This does model exact wheelbase as a 30-foot box, you know, it does, but it is tight. I will admit
Yeah, no,
that,
it's
so.
Not a great intersection.
So I think they're asking you to look at that a little.
Sure,
closer
yeah, we
in
can
your-
look at that. I
With
can
your
do some more
traffic
stuff
study,
there.
with the site distances, with turning movements.
Sure. Provide some more information there with the fire trucks and the box trucks to see what we can do there to help out a little bit.
Actually widening your side of the cartway. to-
Okay.
I think we're generally in agreement. We don't necessarily need to say sidewalks or curbing out.
Right. No, I would agree with that.
Yeah, I would say sidewalks and curbing, probably aren't getting produced in that area, but at the same time,
yet.
some road improvements there at that intersection
Right.
would be beneficial to,
On just our side,
well, I
Is
think
that
it's.
the ordinance as well, Steve? It's just our side, correct? Okay. Yeah, we'll look into that. We can look at them more and see there. I think, you know, to get that carpet width on our side, we would need 4 feet, is it? So 4 feet would give you the cartway width.
Right.
That's, you know, for your ordinance for your township road. So if we didn't do curbing or sidewalk, that's definitely more doable. We probably would stay away from that berm. You know, it'd be close, but I
Right.
think, or at least we can get close to it, maybe another 2-3 feet there, and at least past our driveway is tough. Before our driveway, it's easier to do. Once you get past that driveway, that's where that berm really gets a couple of feet high and pretty close, and it's rocky. So, but we can look into that a little more too as well. But Bethel and Pike, like I think the gist of it is you guys are totally fine with, you know, doesn't seem like much on Bethel and Pike. We can really do that's feasible.
Yeah, let's.
Okay.
Not worry about that.
Alrighty. Any other comments, questions?
I was looking at your waiver requests here. So the traffic study, you're gonna get us some info.
Yeah.
You got the info on the cartway.
So would they be partial waivers then?
Yeah.
I guess that's
They'll
a
call it a
great
partial
question.
waiver
We have
for
partial
now.
waiver then for some of those items.
Yeah,
and
for
on- and
number
on Bethel and
two,
Pike.
number three, I think we're in
That would be a
agreement
full
to-
waiver, yeah.
To be, to waive that.
Mhm.
And then number 4, a bicycle pedestrian path.
Yeah, it doesn't say the word sidewalk.
Yeah, I don't see a need for that.
All right, and like I said, the one that's missing on there is 31-M, but again, that won't be a partial as well. I guess it's part of the widening, just overall road improvements is kind of a general one.
Well, yeah, depending on what we end up with the widening,
Yeah.
it could be the overlay.
So overlay both sides, then?
The overlay is full width.
Full width, okay. Gotcha. Mill and overlay or just overlay?
On the rural roads, we typically do just the overlay. So you can do the widening and base and then overlay.
And then overlay just our entire frontage, both sides, right, and then. saw
Typically
coverage.
what's,
All right,
what we
yep,
end up with.
if need, yeah. If needed. All righty.
And you guys have any other questions or concerns? All right, so you're gonna clean some things up and get
Yes, sir.
back to us?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank
Fair
you.
enough.
Anything else? Very good. Thank you guys for your time. We appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Have a good night. All right, next on the agenda, select properties, planning module. That you?
Good evening, Brian Grant with Select Properties. We're here before the Planning Commission tonight. Our sanitary sewer engineer, Ebert Engineering, had submitted back, I think in August, to the township, a component A of the DEP planning module for the Planning Commission to process. So we're here this evening to answer any questions that you have, but it's largely administrative process that the Planning Commission does with us. I believe your engineer has reviewed it and commented on it to date.
Yeah,
So-
We don't often see this type of activity, do we? As a planning-
Yeah, it's been a while. Because it's generally with the larger developments. You've had planning modules, which is the next one you're going to see, which is a different component and
Right.
different standards. With the larger developments, what is it? So there's a component 3. As a preliminary step, the applicant has to submit the preliminary planning module to Township Planning Commission, Bucks County Planning Commission, and Bucks County Health Department, and ask them to complete their part of component 4, which is 4A. There's a 4A, 4B, and 4C, where you're not approving the planning module. You're making comments as to whether you believe it's consistent with township ordinances, and is there any other sewer needs in the area. That's from all 3 organizations. They return them to the applicant, and then the applicant has to prepare responses to those comments as part of their overall final package that's submitted to the township. That comes to the Board of Supervisors for an actual approval. So at this point, you're not approving anything. You're making comments on the plan as it exists today. Now, the one difference they have or that they're asking for from what you had seen with the preliminary plan on this project was they're proposing this planning module as phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, but the entire development within the village zoning. And they're excluding at this time sewage planning for that area that's in the RC district above. So the question of whether the development is within the Act 537 planning area and within the PRA service area, phase 1 is. So you're being asked to comment on phase 1. Phase 1 is within the planning area.
So everything in the VR
Correct.
on Lawn Avenue, Below Bridge, all that.
Right. From Lawn Avenue over to Mountain View.
Sorry. Top of Grafton.
Is there still that component on the west side of Lawn Avenue? There was a handful of,
6 houses that came off that property. It's like the cul-de-sac. Is that part of?
That's
phase
not
one?
included in.
It's not
phase
included in
1.
this application.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
not phase one. And
correct.
Not the properties down by the Zimmer property.
right, that would be the RC.
That's the.
That would be the RC.
And that's outside 537 area.
Right. This doesn't mean that they aren't going to come back for a phase 2 and include other properties in it.
Right. And nothing over the, on the other side of the ridge,
No.
south of the ridge. Nothing
No, the other
townhouse development.
properties, this does not cover that.
Okay.
This only covers
Phase
what
1.
we're calling about phase 1 of the Lawn Avenue development.
Alright.
Which includes a pump station to pump the sewage back under 309 to the existing sewer line at, Mountain View and Ridge Road. Essentially, that's where it's at.
Okay.
And that's why then, I believe you should have got attached to component 4A and had made suggested answers to your questions to try to assist you along. And you'll see that of note is number 9. As you're aware, there are legal proceedings related to this plan. Township denied it, it was appealed, there's some other legal proceedings out there. Effectively, you're doing this independent of that, but I suggested that comment to recognize those issues. The use itself, the single family, village house use on the size lots they're proposing, that is compliant with zoning ordinance. Where we have some differences and the reason for, the plan denial and the appeals are some of the other zoning requirements on open space and a couple other issues, which are, maybe worked out through a separate land development process. So that's why I put that comment in there. Acknowledge that the use itself is okay, but there are outstanding issues. they'll have to respond to that in the overall planning module.
Right.
Either they're gonna resolve it before they come back with the planning module, or they'll have to explain how they're resolving it.
As we sit here today, this area isn't zoned for a pumping station. That zoning hearing board meeting is December 4th.
Correct. It's a conditional
It's a
use.
permitted use. It's under your special exception.
Special exception, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's a permitted use though.
That's Brian's correct. Conditional uses and special exceptions are considered permitted uses, but permitted with the ability to provide conditions, to attach conditions, or the ability to provide, special conditions through the zoning hearing board. But the state law considers them permitted uses. And we could certainly note on here that a special exception approval is required for the pump station.
I wouldn't be opposed to doing that.
We could include that as part of that comment. Because I think I said in the letter, if there's anything beyond, it doesn't fit neatly in these questions, we could always attach a comment to it. So
Right.
It's not a problem at all.
Is there anything in the review letter here that we need to discuss?
Hold on a second. I don't think so. There's more of an explanation. Let's see, I'll run through it just to. A lot of the comments in this planning module is other paperwork that they need to provide with the final planning module package. I just always point it out when I go through these, even on the preliminary stage, just so there's no confusion. So they will need PWTA to certify that there's available treatment capacity. Number two, they will need Percy Regional Authority and PWTA to verify consistency with Chapter 94, that's their reporting that they have to do to DEP that they have EDUs available. Number three was half question, half comment. There's certain provisions that a published notice has to be provided. While they don't meet those standards for the general ones, as I understand it, because of the water quality permit that they'll need for the pump station, they will have to do a public advertisement. So again, will be published by the applicant. Any comments would come back to the township. The township is listed as the repository for any comments. And then we would provide them to the applicant, and they would have to respond to those comments also with their final package.
Do you understand it? Okay.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, for people that do it,
Yeah.
it's standard. For
standard
everybody
practice.
else, it doesn't
Yeah,
make
it's all
sense.
standard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense.
Many of the steps that Steve's outlined in his letter, we've already addressed. We've already gotten responses back from, besides the Township Planning Commission, there's several outside agencies that have responded to their component that they're required to address.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we just got the revised Bucks County Planning Commission component today. So number 4, that component 4A, that's exactly what you're looking at today. Number 5 references that 4B and 4C from the County Health Department and Planning Commission. Number 6, that's just what I said earlier. Any comments that they receive, any written comments that are received have to be responded to by the applicant as part of the final package. That's critical, because if they're not just comments that are verbally said at a meeting, they're not obligated to specifically respond to those. But any comments that they receive in writing, they have to respond to. 7 was just clarify the phases on the location map in the package. And number 8, that is when things come back. So when the complete planning module is resubmitted to township, there's a resolution that has to be passed that will approve it, transmit a letter, it goes with it, and it gets sent to DEP. And it's not finally approved until DEP finally approves it. Well, even when the township approves it, it goes to DEP for their review.
120 plus days later.
Yeah.
Will the planning commission see it again?
No, not the 4. I mean, I'm saying not a component 3. Okay.
Are there any other external issues that are part of this, such as going under 309, getting NDOT's permission?
No, not really, because this is truly sewage planning, not how it's constructed. They will have other permits, like their water quality permit and permits with PennDOT to get to physically construct it. But unless it were you felt it was infeasible to construct it the way they proposed, that might be a viable comment, but
Where is it going?
to-
I mean, where is it physically going to be built? I haven't still haven't been able to figure that out yet from the information I've seen.
where the pump station is, oh, on Mountain View Road, there's two homes over there, right? The Young property and the Fisher property.
Correct.
So the two houses on Mountain View Road that are involved in this development, in between those two properties. You know where Bernadette Way is? There's Bernadette Way, and the first house is Fisher,
Mark Fisher, yes.
Fisher, and then just, we'll call it north if you're going on that side, just north of Mark Fisher's.
About how far from Fremont? Right.
I don't know offhand, a couple hundred feet.
So, and what kind of typical maintenance does something like this require? The Mountain View Road is a one lane. It's not even a two lane. It's a one lane. Traffic to that. How much additional traffic will be generated?
Something like that runs pretty much automatically. There might be a once a day visit. I did bring this plan with me. So this is Mountain View Road. This is the cul-de-sac before 309. That's
Okay.
the Fisher house. That's the pump station. That's the Young house.
So you're asking about maintenance on the pump station.
Well, construction, maintenance, how much of a holding tank does it have? What's it going to get its power supply from? What's the backup power supply? Because I had my 5th power outage of the year today, multi-hour power outage. So, you know, how long does this thing last before it starts overflowing on Mountain View Road? How is that for extended period? You know, those are things that kind of come to mind. If this was being built like right along the road, you know, those issues kind of go away, but you really got it tucked away out as close to the middle of nowhere as you get from where it's located. And do something like that, all those other issues that you don't normally worry about suddenly come into play.
And I can't answer all those questions. I'm sure Brian can't right now either because it hasn't been fully designed. And they will be questions for PRA. But typically, they're self-contained in as much as it doesn't have an operator. It's automatically operated, has some level of extra capacity in it. They generally always have a backup generator constructed with them for power. Otherwise, you would need large tanks to accommodate because sewage doesn't stop when the power goes out.
Right.
So generally, they build them all with backup.
DEP has to review that entire design too as part of the.
Yes. Yeah, that will get designed by DEP. And it is, I mean, yes, it's tucked away, but it is next to Mountain View Road. It's not far off of Mountain View Road. And the reality is the site generally drains in that direction, so they could get gravity flow from the houses to that area. That's lower than. generally
Well, I'm
lower.
concerned about going under 309 and back uphill to get to Ridgewood.
But that's all pumped. It'll pump from the station until it gets to the gravity manhole, Mountain View Road. Mountain View and Ridge Road.
If there's power.
That's the emergency generators. And I presume some of those things might, there might be some more detail presented at the zoning hearing. A little bit more the design, the size anticipated. We haven't seen too much of that.
I recall at one point we had asked to see how this was going to fit together with all of the other properties in the area with regard to sewage. By just holding this to the village center, does that eliminate that issue or?
Have we ever gotten any kind of master plan for how sewage is gonna be handled for all of those
I
properties?
think only in discussion. I don't know if you want to expand on that thought, Brian. How you expect to get sewer to the other developments yet, or hasn't that been?
Still
finalized?
still being worked on, yeah.
So, yes, you did ask for that. But you're obligated to respond to the application that's in front of you. And as I said, this is not, even if you made all 100% favorable comments on this, that doesn't reflect on whatever, review is yet to come for this development once the denials and appeals and the legal end of it gets worked out.
You stopped at 9, Steve. 13.
Oh.
It says it's inconsistent with Saldo. Is it the same thing?
Right, one of them, one was for the zoning ordinance and 13 was for the subdivision ordinance. So same things. The use is consistent. We had, you remember the last letters, we had a laundry list of subdivision issues that still had to be revised. It's just an acknowledgement that they still need to be revised.
So is this, you filled this out?
So then I would suggest that the answer is yes. Yeah, it wasn't the.
That's why it says.
The applicant, yeah, I specifically made it track. The applicant did not. Those are,
Oh, no, that's what I said. So, I mean, so we have the ability to add.
yes, you can change whatever you want. I could do it up on another form and send it to you, email it to you to get the actual signature on it, so. But I think if you feel these comments are satisfactory with X, Y, or Z added to it, you can make that motion to authorize the chairman to sign the form with those changes. I'll make the changes, get you the form and move it along.
If I could add just a couple of quick comments. There's essentially, I've heard different comments and questions and maybe some concerns. There's multiple facets to the overall project. And the planning module before you this evening, you're reviewing under the context of consistency with the 537 plan that you have in the township. You're not granting approval on our subdivision yet. That's still going through the land development process. And likewise with the pump station, we have a pending application before the zoning hearing board. Will be before them in December. All those will have legs of their own and approvals all to their own. This evening is really just strictly for consistency with the township's 537 plan. So just trying to relieve maybe some concerns you have about those other facets. They're still going through their proper process.
And I think certainly adding the zoning hearing board decision coming up, as a great comment.
It'll probably be a moot point by the time that the whole package is eventually submitted
Yeah.
back to the township for the board of supervisors to act on and before it goes down to the DEP. But certainly at this time frame, if that's something you want to make reference to, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Right, and again, just in the overall scheme of things, with all these moving parts of planning module, they take so long to get to all the agencies and get the responses. That's one of the reasons that they're done in advance of, this plan or any other project. That you start to see this paperwork long before you're ready to approve the plan.
Right.
Just because this takes months and months and months
Understood.
of going, distributing, getting it back, responding, and moving it forward.
All right, well, is there any other items you want to put on the checklist here? I mean, I agree with what you have filled out, Steve. Aside from Tim's suggestion, do we have anything else we want to add? I think I'm fine.
I am.
All right, so what do we need to do here, Steve?
I think you just need to make a motion to authorize the chairman to sign the revised 104A when I add those comments. that comment.
I'll make a motion to authorize the chairman to sign the revised component 4A.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
That carries. One opposition. It's all three of them. All right, thanks. Do I gotta sign this?
Well,
All right.
And this check,
You can sign it, but I you can sign another one.
All right.
Uh,
Let's- So you have representation from Butter Creek here?
I don't think we do.
Okay.
I don't think it's necessary.
Okay. Better.
So this project's been hanging around for ever. If you recall, it changed from a 13 lot subdivision to a 6 lot subdivision. But they don't have their final approval for the 6 lot subdivision because he never came back with a cleaned up plan.
Right.
Asked for that change. He hasn't approved 13 lot subdivision.
With P loop.
Right. This planning module is pursuant to the 6 lot plan. Right. So, and this is a different kind of component. So it doesn't, it doesn't have a 4A, B, and C to it. You sign the actual form. Component H, which I thought I gave you a copy in my package, but I don't have it on my letter. I might have submitted that. Anyway, if you approve it, I'll send it to you. So I'll go through the letter quick. It's for the 6 lot plan. I attached the last review letter on it. That was more just to familiarize everyone with what we had talked about the last time we talked about it. This was at least a year ago. So there's one section of the planning module, component 1, section H, has to be signed by the health department. I know it was submitted to the health department. I don't have that signed copy back. But as long as the health department signs it, planning commission and the zoning officer, in this case, this type of application signs section I, which says that the proposal is consistent with township ordinances. And once we have the 3 signatures, the health department, planning commission, and the zoning officer, and it gets submitted to the board of supervisors, and they have to sign off on component 1. There's no resolution on this one. It's just the way DEP does work. It's supposed to be a simplified form. So if you're comfortable with the 6 lot plan, it meets ordinance requirements. We've been through that before. Again, I'd ask you to make a motion to have the chairman sign the appropriate section of component 1.
I think it was before my time, but wasn't there an additional subdivision prior to the 13 lot?
There was. The 13 lot was on lot 7 of a prior
Okay.
subdivision.
The only reason I'm asking is component 1 is only good for up to 10 lots, right?
Yeah,
That goes
They
back to
did.
72.
they did submit the mailer to the county and got this package back from
Okay.
DEP. I'll verify that though. If DEP is not going to flag it later
Right.
and say, if they do, they'll have to submit a whole new package and we'll be back
Okay.
here for you to sign a different one.
It's minutia, but basically the state says this component is good for up to 10 lots, but the lots have to be created since 1972 and it counts all the lots that came from the original parcel. So maybe it was 2 parcels and that's why it wasn't an issue. But if it was all 1 parcel and you get to 10 lots, then you can't get past 10 lots. You can't use this.
Right.
Yeah, I don't even remember if it was multiple tax wise. It could have been back then.
I'm gonna be there when somebody tells
So I know this is, this is administrative, but I'm looking at the minutes from December and we were talking about the driveways
Yeah.
and shared driveways and we didn't really come to a conclusion on that. So are we
Well, again,
putting the,
you're not approving the design. The lots themselves meet the zoning ordinance requirements. So whether he has separate driveways or shared driveways, a decision yet to be made. But he could do the lots with separate driveways and everything. You can.
And it's
Opposed
one
to-
lot, which is what the 537.
Yeah, and he has 2 perks on every lot, so he meets our new standards.
I did the same. I haven't watched the video.
okay, yeah. I just printed the minutes.
Yeah, so there is things to be resolved, but they don't need to be resolved.
Right. Understood.
for this.
All right, so we need a motion to approve the chairman to sign the plan.
I so motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. All right, so you're gonna get that to me?
Yep, yeah.
All right, well, that's all our presenters tonight. Next on the agenda is old business. I don't have any old business. Is anyone else?
Do not?
I do not.
All right, new business, I have none. Anyone else?
No.
All right. I'd look, well, public comment. Do we have any public comment? Splendid. All right. Seeing none?
Just for an FYI, you will have the plan next month for the commercial business on the other side of Forest Road.
Yes.
They just submitted it late for
Right.
this agenda. And we got another version of the cold storage warehouse in. They've reduced the size on Cat,
On
on
state.
Old State
Old
Road,
State, okay.
and the new location for the cold storage building. They have yet to do the public adjoining property owner notifications. So we keep telling them we're not putting them on the planning commission agenda. But for what it's worth, they're only proposing to build now phase 1 of the building, I think, which is around 100,000 square feet. I mean, there's still a potential phase 2 for.
Right.
future, But the initial construction looks to be around.
That will be on the agenda for next week or next month?
If they do their adjoining owner notifications, it will. If not, it won't. They keep pointing fingers like, the attorney's supposed to do it, the engineer's supposed to do it, but it doesn't get done.
So how it works.
Anything else for next month?
Those are the 2 that I'm aware of right now.
What's the business on Forest that replaced Masterpiece?
I believe it's a landscaper. It might be landscaper plus something. I know it's a father and son. The father owns one business, a development business. The son, I think, still owns a landscaping business. I don't know if you know Mike Tullio. It's him and his son. Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
But
Seen the trucks around.
yeah, his son runs the landscaping business then. In any event, it's a contractor service.
Yeah.
My understanding.
Anything else in the pipeline or? What's going on with the warehouse and what about Wawa? What on there?
Wawa is working through all their final agreements and easements and documents. I think you'll see that. I don't know that I shouldn't say that. I don't know when they'll start construction, but I think either over the winter or early spring, they'll have all their paperwork taken care of and in line. So that's coming. I couldn't tell you when they'd actually start.
And how about the warehouse on Meeting House?
We haven't heard from them. The last I heard from them, that's the Veris warehouse.
Yes.
They switched gears and they were going to look for a tenant before they started.
Right.
construction.
Especially since they have a competitor right up the street.
Right. And that warehouse is done. I mean, the triple net warehouse is essentially, nearly ready to be occupied. I don't know that they don't have a tenant, but it's essentially done.
A lot of them don't have tenants these days. You know, those ones down on Wampo Road, across from Chocolate, they're sitting huge.
And You're talking about the pipeline. You have the Guy Heavner property. That lot line adjustment was intended to create the second access for that residential development on the old farm property next to the port.
Right.
So I haven't heard, anything imminent, but that's lining themselves up to come in with a plan for that.
Speaking of pipelines, what's the latest with the water line coming down the ridge?
I think construction is backed off until spring. They awarded a contract, but I think the last I heard, they're not going to get started right now.
It's too wet.
If anything, they have to start with boring under 309 anyway. So it may be that they're going to start that over the winter and not be really heavy on the.
I think you're that way.
Well, they're doing the jack pits and stuff first. Which way they go from that, I don't know. I assume they're going to come up Walmart and then go out the ridge going west. Doesn't really matter. They could.
As a sewer
Water line, it
project,
doesn't
a sewer project over County Line. Did they start to do that? Did they go on there?
They are in. They're having issues with DEP on their paperwork. DEP had them re-advertise a couple things, and they didn't like their initial advertisements. But not so. They're working through the process of bringing their paperwork up to speed for DEP. But they say they're still interested in moving forward with it when they get their approval.
I see another question about the public. Who ultimately owns it at the end of the day?
PRA. The authority will own it. It's all,
So the developer just builds it and then PRA takes ownership of it and you do all the maintenance. Everything.
yep, it'll be part of the public system. My understanding.
Anything else? All right, hearing none, I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
All right, I'll make that.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye, opposed, motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Coming out.
Oh, don't forget to sign the plans, at least two of you.